Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another video. I just thought of something interesting. I've been reading a bunch of articles lately about just the demographics of Star Wars. I've been reading a lot of articles about the marketing development. I've seen a lot of surveys, and it sort of struck me what exactly the intentions were from a strategic point of view from the people at Disney Lucasfilm, executives obviously, and Kathleen Kennedy and everybody else, because and I'm kind of going to link something here. So there was a Lego study done in 2008, and I'm sure some of you guys know about this. So they were trying to figure out how to market kits, Lego kits, to boys and girls, and what sort of was the driving force behind that. Because I think a lot of companies, and this is my opinion, but I think a lot of companies are trying to find ways to make a product that's appealing to both sexes, especially in the toy realm, because it saves them money, saves them manufacturing costs if they can get, and then it makes the money if both the sexes are buying it. But what they found out when they did this study in 2008 was that when boys play with the Lego sets, whether it's the Batman set or the Star Wars set or whatever, they pretend to be the guy. So, like, if they're playing as Batman, they found that the boys typically, like the majority of them, not all of them, of course, there's always exceptions, but the majority of the boys would start acting like Batman, trying to do the voice of Batman, trying to understand all of his tools, trying to be him. So they insert themselves and just try to emulate that heroic character. Whereas with the girls, they would take that same Batman figure, and rather than pretend to be Batman, they would take Batman to the mall. They would dress Batman up in a dress. They would pretend that they would take the Batman hero and make him into them. So very different approaches. One is, I want to be that hero. The other is, I want that hero to be like me. Change their ways to be like me. And that's a big difference, right? And that impacts any IP or any company or any idea, really, that any art at all that you're trying to sell. So if girls want to see the heroes do the things that they would want to do, my question was, why would Disney think that shifting certain products from boys to girls would be a success? That sounds like a very difficult task. Like, if you had something that was very appealing to men.
Cheers! Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay.
And boys, appealing to some girls too. Like I said earlier, there's always exceptions, but for the most part, appealing to boys. I would think having that data from 2008, that would feel like an insurmountable task to try and turn something that was geared towards boys, when boys would just latch onto it and want to be the hero of the story, and turn it into something for girls, when girls are really just going to say, well, no, I want that hero to be doing what I'm doing. So that just sounds like a very insurmountable task, especially when it comes to something like Star Wars. So you're going to have to create a female character that's a hero, but then also appeals to girls, because the boys just naturally are going to have trouble being like, oh yeah, I want to be like Rey because she's a girl. Like, that's just the way it is. They latch on to these heroes and want to be like them. That doesn't mean they couldn't do that. That doesn't mean there aren't some boys that have done that. I'm just saying that's what they're going to do if they're going to do it. They're going to latch on, make her their hero, and emulate her. Whereas the girls are just going to want her to be like them. So that just seems like a very difficult task to get girls interested in Star Wars, making the hero a female, unless she's doing things that those girls would identify with. Like, it just seems very difficult to me. But that was the strategy that they took. Star Wars has always been boy-centric. George Lucas has alluded to it, and being, geared towards mainly 12 to 13-year-old boys. He also said, originally when it came out in 1977, that it was just that it was geared towards kids in general. But anyways, we all know tends to be more towards boys than girls. So you're gearing towards boys first, and then any other people that latch on were really just a bonus. Now, that doesn't mean there weren't girls that liked it. My sister is a massive Star Wars fan. Now, she did grow up in a house with 4 brothers and no sisters, but still, she really likes it. But that's not a general thing. That's sort of, I don't want to say it's an exception, but it's a less likely outcome, right? To be a huge Star Wars fan and be a girl. That doesn't mean there aren't girls that aren't, but it's just not as prevalent as boys. This is one of the reasons the Star Wars sequel films failed, as far as I'm concerned. If Rey had been exactly as she was written, right? Don't change a thing. People still wouldn't have liked her. A lot of people wouldn't have liked her. But if you wrote Luke as a true hero in the story, and not the way that they wrote him, where he was a pessimist and all that other stuff and never actually showed up, it was forced projection, blah, 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 we can go on and on and on. Boys would have had someone to latch onto as the hero that they want to pretend to be, right? Because they want to pretend to be the hero, to buy the toy, pretend to be him. If they had given Finn more emphasis. and had him play a major role, like being a Jedi or something like that was teased in the original Force Awakens trailer. Anything other than just following Rey around and yelling her name, then boys would have someone to latch onto. So with the sequels, they, in their effort to appeal to more girls, they actually, to some degree, alienated some boys because they didn't really give boys a male hero to latch onto, to try and emulate, to try and be. That's how they play. That's what's going to drive purchases of toys and rewatches of movies, is these boys being like, oh, I want to be like that guy. As someone with 2 boys and a girl, I can attest that these statistics are very, very true. These studies are not lying. Rey is Rey because Rey needs to be sort of the generic female. I'll tell you like this. So if the writers had strayed too deep, for example, into her personality and story in one direction, sort of made her personality very this way, then girls would find her to be far from what they want, a hero like them. So in their effort to, what I mean by that is, in their effort to get girls to see Rey as like them, because again, it's not about Rey being different and wanting to emulate her like boys do. They want the character to be like them. Then if you make Rey, for example, a boisterous personality, an over-the-top character.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Well, there's only a certain amount of women that are like that. So you're going to only have a small percentage of girls find that appealing. On the flip side, if you made her a very quiet, recluse, shy character, there's only that percentage of girls are going to identify with that. If you made her any sort of personality on even not even in the extreme, just in the average, but a specific personality, you're only going to appeal to a certain amount of these girls. And so in an effort to appeal to more girls, they made Rey extremely generic. So basically Disney's strategy was to make her as bland as possible in hopes that girls would be able to see something of themselves in her without characteristics that were far from many of them.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
And that brings us to the rub. That is not a good idea. And that's why they should never have even gone down this road. And I don't know why they did. Lucasfilm should have known the female-centric change they brought to Star Wars was destined to fail. Like, why would you take on a challenge that crazy? Especially when you've got such a good fan base already. You've got a moneymaker, a money printing machine, essentially, if you just sort of went with the same strategy of the past, which was to just have hero stories, and however many girls get into it, or as many girls as get into it, however many boys get into it, is however many boys get into it. Why would you take the risk that they took, especially after just purchasing? It's one thing to buy the IP, do a good sequel trilogy where Luke's a hero, Leia's a hero, Han goes out really well, flows into the new characters, but everything is done justice, and you kind of keep the same marketing objectives and strategy, make a pile of money, get your money back, make some more money on top of that, and then you say, okay, well, let's try this because we want to pull in a female audience, and maybe it fails, but you've at least business-wise taken care of what you needed to take care of before you take this massive risk. There really wasn't a way to make this type of story work for girls on a mass scale. For example, like Barbie works because there are many different girls with many different personalities doing things that girls like to do. So if you're the boisterous girl, there's the boisterous character in Barbie. If you're the shy one, there's the shy one in Barbie. But they're all doing girly things that you like to do, so you find them appealing. Barbie herself is just sort of a good general personality, so lots of girls will, but she's doing things that girls like to do, so it's appealing to girls. Star Wars Jedi don't do things girls like to do. They're not shopping and putting on dresses. Like the risk that they took makes no sense to me. So Barbie is easier to relate for girls. Well, Rey isn't the hero boys who make up the majority of the Star Wars audience want to emulate. She just isn't. Part of it is because, yes, she's a girl, right? That's not generally what boys look at as the hero figure that they want to emulate. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some that do. There will definitely be some that do. I am not sitting here blanketing and saying everybody's the same. I'm simply saying, from a business standpoint, when you're trying to make money, you should appeal to the majority of the fans you can get into the theater, into the toy store, buying your stuff. This is a business video I'm making, okay? This was a really stupid strategy that they went with. This has affected toy sales, as male fans are far more likely to collect toys than female fans are. That has been solidified, studied. Look it up yourself. Men and boys just buy more merchandise than girls do. Grogu was a good seller for the females, but that was because he's cute and cuddly and a baby, and there's all of those sort of biological, maternal things in females that Grogu appeals to them. That was okay. for a time. But after the hype wore off, the toy sales have declined badly. And the REY toys, for example, did very, very poorly. They didn't sell very well at all. Because again, if your majority of your audience that's going to make you money is boys, why would you veer from that and take this massive risk and in the end it backfired, right? Right or wrong. I'm not saying morally it's right or wrong, but I'm saying this is a business video. That was a stupid strategy. So there are still people that really like Star Wars and even the new stuff. There are people that like it. Of course there are. But the strategy of Disney Lucasfilm very likely left a pile of money on the table. And I think that's safe to say. I think if they had made Luke Skywalker who everyone wanted him to be, they would have made, 2, 3, 4 billion on that movie, on The Last Jedi, right? If they had made Rey have a more interesting personality and had a real arc, they probably would have made more money. But again, they would have, in their minds, risked the female audience. It was a very strange strategy. I don't see why they went that route that early, that quickly, but they did, and that's the way it is. You guys let me know in the comment section if you think any of this makes any sense, that why they would choose to do that. Am I being too harsh on them? Are boys just bigots that don't want to just automatically have the hero be the girl? How much of this is executive level? How much of this is because of the ratings that these stupid companies give stocks? They got to have diversity. How much of it is that? Or how much of it was just plain old stupidity, dumb? Why would you do this? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for listening to this video. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And if you do like this content, check out my other videos about all types of stuff, mostly Star Wars, but all types of stuff. And thanks for listening and watching, and have yourself a really good day.